how's it going, guys? My name is Zach with The Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at Found Footage 2. This is a comic written by Marvin Rodriguez and put out by Behemoth, and it's a very interesting concept, basically taking the found footage subgenre, which is pretty uniquely film, and putting it into this comic. You slide out of the case this little fake VHS, and each page is one splash panel that kind of represents where the screen's going. It's an interesting concept, and if you saw my review for the first one, I thought the first one was pretty fun, and I'm glad they got to make a second, and it would have been cool if I had a whole shelf full of these. It would have been fun if they made a bunch of them. But at the time of recording, this is the last one, and to be honest, I can totally see why. This was a pretty significant step down from the first one, and there are a few reasons for that. It's like this dating show, and the show gets interrupted by a man with a gun, and I do like, real footage, interrupted TV broadcast. That's a good start, but a lot of other stuff around that is just so bad. I mean, I'm a horror movie fan. You kind of know what things I like, and cheesy reality dating TV is not really one of them, and I found just the base premise of the show to be kind of annoying and stupid, but your main character is this overweight woman, and the show is designed basically to ridicule her, and it's so grating, and I really did hate that, and I do get it's the point of the story. It's supposed to, be about how society is turned against her, but boy, so many elements of the show are just so over the top and cruel, and not in really an entertaining way, and I just really didn't like that. And there's so many bafflingly dumb character decisions in here. They know the man with the gun is coming, and they still decide to keep recording their TV show and not evacuate people, and just things like the guy with the gun gets involved in some of the games, and that puts him in a position where it'd be easy to overtake him, but they either don't, or they're unsuccessful, or rather than doing the obvious thing, they come up with some convoluted plan that doesn't work. And the bodies do pile up. There is a good bit of dark humor and gory, maniacal fun, but at the same time, that only happens because there's so many dumb decisions in this book. So I didn't like the attitude, I didn't like the stupidity of it, and overall the first one was just so much darker and grungier, and really just had a bunch more teeth, and this one feels like it's trying to be sillier, and missing on a whole lot of those marks. Overall, this was a significant step down, but I like the concept of the book, and I did like the first one. If they did make a Found Footage 3, I'd check it out, and I'd hope it'd be better. But as it stands now, this is it. Anyway, if you guys want to see a little more specifics, I'll switch to the close-up camera, and in the close-up camera, I'll show you guys some of the story and the art. No major spoilers, but I'll elaborate on some of my points and analyze a little further. So, without further ado, let's switch to the close-up camera. Alright, here we are inside the castle, taking a closer look at Found Footage 2. Right off the bat, the cover's an interesting enough idea, getting our two leads across these multiple viewing screens like you would see at the back of a production TV studio. That being said, not near enough fake stickers on the front. I think there's only like a couple here on the back. It doesn't have that fake old school VHS look near as much as the last one did, even though it does have the same formatting. It's just I miss those stickers, but it still is the VHS box with the logo and the barcode and rating on the back of it. The price isn't as obvious, but I think it was a few dollars more than the last one. And there's some pictures from inside. Slide it out. It's the same deal with a VHS cover being the inner comic, and I do like the stickers different, and this is like what archival station footage would look like, and we still have the VHS on the back, and the spine there. Now that being said, I griped a little bit about the construction last time, and I feel like I should do it now. This box right here came undone, and I had to glue it back together. And this back part from here to here on the spine, that came undone, and I had to glue it back together as well. I don't like having to repair my books, and I get that we've never built something like this before, so it was a unique and different process for the printer, but these are pretty cheaply made, and I don't like that. But anyway, crack it open. We get a trigger warning. We get 18 plus, and we also get an introduction by this guy talking about the comic, and he uses the word spoiler incorrectly because he talks about, oh, this may be a spoiler, but if you flip it to the back, we show you guys some of the real things that this is inspired by, which is not a spoiler because it's not even something that has to do with the plot directly. But yeah, there is a Deaths on Live TV section in the back where it shows some of the stories that inspired the book, which I think is a fun idea, you know, getting some real world context, and it also kind of echoes the bonus feature in the first one. Anyway, after that we get into the story proper. No major spoilers, but I do want to show you guys some of the story, some of the art, and make sure you guys have a basic understanding as to what the book's about, but I don't have to spoil it to do so. So let's take a look at the story. We open up with this little information block, and I do like Marvin Rodriguez is credited as executive producer. But yeah, program Soulmate for the date of 5/30/97, and we get the static, and the static will fade into a color test pattern, which is kind of ironic because the comic's in black and white, but found footage 2 by Marvin Rodriguez. And we flip the page, and we get to see Soulmate, the host there, the audience. We'll keep cutting back to the audience camera angles, and we get to see the host, and he's kind of one of those bubbly personality guys, but overall is all about the show, and we can see his attitude is pretty fake. And we get the contestants here, and each contestant has a little blurb about them, and we get to see a girl, a guy, a girl, a guy, and then just one more girl. And yeah, the girl is overweight, and then it's like on the bottom, her little bio thing is this her last chance to escape being a spinster? Yeah, note how there's no one set up for her. They do this fruit game later where the couples have to dance with a fruit between them, and obviously there's no one for her to dance with. And then later on in the show, they play this animal game where it's like, oh, you have to, once again, dance with a partner, but the idea is you put on animal mask, and of course, she's going to get the pig, and of course, with there being 5 people, she's the only one without a partner to dance with, and she comically gets picked off by the hunter. But yeah, the whole game show is basically designed to just say, haha, this lady is fat and lonely. And the thing is, I get that 90s reality shows could be especially cruel, and I get, you know, jerk that gets its comeuppance, anthology horror, right? But it's just so on the nose and becomes basically hard to read. I didn't like, and it's most of what this book is set up around. But anyway, we do get an interruption from the news, and we get to find out that there's a gunman outside, and yeah, he's taken over the studio, and I don't like, this is the 4 channel, not channel 4, that just bugs me. But anyway, the news will try to go up and interview the gunman, and that will result in the news anchor being held captive, and the gunman having, in turn, more leverage. But the strange thing, and I mean really strange, is the studio's super determined to cut back to their dumb dating show, and I get the idea of the show must go on, but I've seen good shows back in the days before streaming when you could come back to it easy. I've seen good shows get interrupted by the most minor news stories, and they would keep refusing to come back. And you think if a studio was being attacked by a gunman, they wouldn't cut back to their dumb dating show because that's a much bigger story. And also you think it's the studio this dating show is going on in, that they would be more worried about the safety of everyone involved, but they're like, no, we're gonna do our stupid dating show. But of course, the criminal eventually gets there. He somehow winds up in their graphic, and he's like, keep the cameras on me, the show must go on. And we do get to find out, like, he was a former cop, and he had to do some terrible things, and now he's kind of snapped. So there's a bit of a backstory, but it's not super developed. And for a lot of the rest of the book, it's going to be the contrast between the criminal, who's a social outcast, and the fat woman on stage, who is also a social outcast, although she hasn't become violent yet. And we get to see the two kind of bounce off each other. It is kind of an interesting dynamic, but a lot of it, you know, the show being so mean to her, and then the underdeveloped sympathetic terrorist, which isn't a subplot I particularly like, it just doesn't have quite enough going for it. And also the camera will magically get to whatever needs to be on screen. And I get that this is a reality show, that there are supposed to be several cameras, but there's so many cases of, wow, they really thought to cut to that angle or get that shot in the heat of the moment. It made it feel a little less realistic. So it's not a bad book. I like to get another found footage as a comic, and I do like seeing more than one of these on the shelf together. It's kind of sad because I do think it'd be really cool if I had a whole bunch of these back to back, you know, a whole little line. That would have been cool, but this is the second one, and I can totally see why it was the last one. It's just not near as good as the first. The first was so grungy and dark and really embodied found footage better. And this is just, there's so many baffling character decisions, especially when you know you have a hostage in the building and all the things they try, and just how mean the show is to them, and just being in the world of phony reality TV was just something I didn't like. Overall, the book's not great, but hey, if you like the concept of the first one and want to read a little more, it's not terrible, but it's just such a step down. Not a huge recommendation or anything. But anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist at the bottom. This should be my found footage playlist, where you can see my review for the first one, as well as some movies that are in the subgenre. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.